I was scrolling through my husband's phone at 2 a.m., looking for our wedding photographer's number, when I found the text thread that destroyed my entire world. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, my love. Just one more month until we're free. The sender, my identical twin sister, Emma. The date, 3 days before I was supposed to give birth to our first child. My hand started shaking as I scrolled up through months of messages. Sarah's so naive, she has no idea. The baby will make the divorce settlement even better for you. I've loved you since her wedding day, but I waited until now. I dropped the phone and it clattered onto the hardwood floor, the sound echoing through our silent bedroom like a gunshot. David stirred next to me, his arm reaching across to where I'd been lying moments before. This man I'd trusted with everything. This man whose baby was literally growing inside me, due any day now. This man who'd been planning to leave me the second our child was born. All while sleeping with my identical twin sister behind my back. I picked up the phone with trembling fingers and kept reading. The messages went back 8 months. 8 months of planning. 8 months of lies. 8 months of them laughing at how stupid I was, while I glowed with pregnancy joy, showing Emma every ultrasound photo, asking her to be the godmother. She actually asked me to be in the delivery room. Emma had texted just last week. Should I do it? It would be the perfect goodbye gift. David's response made bile rise in my throat. Do it. Let her have that moment, before we take everything away. I sat there in the dark, 39 weeks pregnant, realizing that my entire life had been a performance for an audience of 2. Every dinner where Emma came over and held my belly, talking to her future niece or nephew. Every time David rubbed my feet and told me how much he loved our growing family. All of it was lies. The worst part, reading how it started. David had texted Emma the night after our wedding, married the wrong twin. Emma's response, I know, I've known for years. Just wait. Sarah won't be pretty forever, especially after kids. Then you'll be mine. That was 3 years ago. They'd been planning this since my wedding day. I screenshot everything, every single message, every photo they'd sent each other, every detail of their plan to divorce me right after the baby was born, so David could claim I was an unfit mother due to postpartum depression. They were going to help trigger. They'd already consulted lawyers, already planned how to split our assets, already decided Emma would raise my child while I fought for scraps in court. But there was more, so much more that made my stomach turn as I kept scrolling through their digital betrayal, photos they'd taken together in my house while I was at work, in my bed, on my couch, using my dishes, my shower, my life as a backdrop for their affair. David had even given Emma a key to our house 6 months ago, telling me it was in case of emergencies. The emergency was that he needed a place to screw my sister, while I was earning the money to pay our mortgage. There were photos of Emma wearing my jewelry, my clothes, even my wedding dress. She'd captioned one photo, trying on my future wedding dress. David's response, you look better in it than she ever did. I found hotel receipts they'd split. Vacation photos from a weekend David told me he was visiting his sick mother in Phoenix. Emma had told me she was at a yoga retreat. They were in Cabo together, drinking margaritas and planning my destruction, while I worked overtime to save money for our baby's nursery. My water broke at 4 a.m. while I was still sitting on the bathroom floor, copying messages to a cloud drive. The contractions started immediately, hard and fast. I didn't wake David. Instead, I called my friend Jessica, who lived 20 minutes away. Sarah, it's 4 in the morning, are you okay? My water broke, and I need you to drive me to the hospital. Don't ask questions, just come. And Jess, don't tell anyone where I am. She was at my door in 15 minutes, still in her pajamas. I'd packed a bag and left a note for David. Gone to hospital. Labor started. Don't bring Emma. The contractions were 3 minutes apart by the time we got to the hospital. The nurse looked confused when I said my husband wasn't coming, that I wanted no visitors, except Jessica. But I was in too much pain to explain that the man who was supposed to hold my hand through labor was planning to destroy my life the moment our baby took her first breath. During those 12 hours of labor, between contractions, I made phone calls, first to a locksmith, scheduling them to change all our locks while David was at work the next day, then to our bank, where I moved half our joint savings into a new account in just my name, then to our credit card companies, removing David as an authorized user on my cards. Between pushes, I texted my boss, having baby today, will need to work from home for a while due to family situation. We'll explain later. 12 hours later, I held my daughter in my arms while Jessica cried happy tears beside me. She was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, David's nose, my eyes. I named her Hope because I needed something to hope for in the wreckage of my life. David finally found us that evening. He burst into my room looking panicked, flowers in his hand. Sarah, what the hell? I woke up and you were gone. I've been calling everyone. Emma's been worried sick. I'm sure she has. I thought, watching him perform concern for the nurses. I wanted some space to focus on labor. It's been a long day. He tried to hold Hope, but I held her tighter. She's sleeping. Maybe later. The performance continued for the next hour. David cooing over Hope, taking photos to send to everyone, promising to be the best father in the world. He called Emma right there in the room. She's here, Em. She's perfect. Sarah did amazing. I watched his face as he lied to my sister about how worried he'd been, how he'd been pacing the waiting room all day. Emma's voice was loud enough through the phone that I could hear her fake excitement. Oh my God. I can't wait to meet my niece. Give Sarah my love. That night, after visiting hours ended and David went home to get some rest, I called the divorce lawyer I'd researched on my phone between contractions. Margaret Chen had stellar reviews for handling high-conflict divorces, with children involved. Mrs. Thompson, congratulations on your daughter. Jessica filled me in on some details. Can you come to my office tomorrow afternoon and bring everything you've documented? I was discharged the next morning with baby hope and a plan. Jessica drove us to her house instead of mine. I texted David, staying with Jess for a few days. Need help adjusting, and you have to work anyway. His response came immediately. Of course, whatever you need. I love you both so much. The lies just kept coming, but I had my own lies to tell now. At 2 p.m., while David was at work, I met the locksmith at our house. I also met with a moving company who packed up all of Hope's nursery furniture and my personal belongings in 2 hours. They moved everything to a storage unit I'd rented using my new solo bank account. I left David's belongings exactly where they were, but I took photo albums, my grandmother's jewelry, and the quilt my mother had made for Hope. I also took our wedding album and every photo of Emma and me together since childhood. Those were going in the trash. The locksmith finished at 4 p.m. I had new keys, and David had nothing. Margaret Chen's office had tissues on every table, which told me she'd seen this story before. I laid out printouts of every text message while Hope slept in her car seat beside me. Margaret read through them silently, her expression growing darker with each page. This is some of the most calculated emotional abuse I've seen. They literally planned to gaslight you into a mental health crisis. What are my options? With this evidence, full custody, the house, alimony, and we can go after David's 401k and Emma for alienation of affection. The text messages about planning to trigger your postpartum depression will make any judge furious. She paused, looking at a particularly damning message. Sarah, they were planning to have you committed to a psychiatric facility. They researched involuntary commitment laws. This goes way beyond divorce fraud. I felt cold despite the warm office. Committed. David texted Emma about finding a psychiatrist who would diagnose you with postpartum psychosis based on episodes they would stage and document. They planned to have you declared incompetent so David could get full custody and control of your assets. This wasn't just betrayal. This was conspiracy to commit fraud, maybe even kidnapping. That afternoon, I composed a text to Emma from Jessica's phone. Hey, this is Jessica using Sarah's phone. She's having a really hard time adjusting and asked me to reach out. She wants to see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. She says she needs her sister right now. Emma's response was immediate. Of course, I'll be right there. Is she okay? How's the baby? The next day, I set up my phone to record in Jessica's living room, hidden behind a picture frame. Emma arrived with a gift bag and crocodile tears, rushing to hug me. Oh, Sarah, honey, how are you holding up? And where's my beautiful niece? I held Hope while Emma gushed about how perfect she was, how much she looked like David. How lucky I was to have such a devoted husband. The performance was Oscar-worthy. She's been fussy, I lied. Crying a lot at night. I'm not sleeping. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing my mind. Emma's eyes lit up with fake concern and real excitement. Oh, sweetie, that's completely normal. But you should probably talk to someone if it gets worse. Postpartum depression is nothing to mess around with. Right on script. Emma, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Of course. Anything. Are you in love with David? The color drained from her face. What? Sarah? What kind of question is that? He's your husband. That wasn't a no. She laughed, nervously. You're being paranoid. This is probably just postpartum hormones, making you think crazy things. Maybe you should talk to someone. There it was. Right on schedule. The gaslighting they'd planned to use to make me question my sanity. You think I'm crazy? I pressed, following their script. No, not crazy. Just hormonal. New mothers go through a lot. Maybe you should see Dr. Harrison. He specializes in postpartum issues. Dr. Harrison. I made a mental note. This was probably the psychiatrist they'd researched to have me committed. Emma, I know about the text messages. All of them. For 8 months. The mask slipped completely. Her face went cold, calculating. What text messages? I pulled out my phone and started reading. She actually asked me to be in the delivery room. Should I do it? It would be the perfect goodbye gift. Emma stood up slowly, her hands shaking. Sarah, you don't understand. David and we tried to fight it, but we fell in love. You can't help who you love. You fell in love the night of my wedding. We've always had a connection. Even in high school, he liked me first. But I told him to ask you out because I didn't want to hurt you. But feelings change, Sarah. People grow. David realized he made a mistake. This was news to me. David had never mentioned liking Emma first. What do you mean he liked you first? Emma realized her mistake immediately. That's not important now. Emma, David never told me he liked you first. We met at that party when we were 17. He asked for my number. Sarah, you're getting confused. The hormones. Stop blaming hormones. Tell me the truth about high school. Emma sat back down, looking defeated. Fine. David asked me to prom junior year. I said no, because I thought Mark Henderson was going to ask me. When Mark didn't ask, and David had already asked you as his backup, I was stuck. But David always wondered what would have happened if I'd said yes. My husband had asked me to prom as his second choice. And my twin sister had known this for over 10 years without telling me. So this whole thing started because you regretted not going to prom with him. It's more complicated than that. After your wedding, David admitted he'd always wondered about us. We started talking, just as friends. But talking turned into texting, and texting turned into meeting for coffee, and coffee turned into you screwing my husband in my bed while I was pregnant with his child. Emma's face hardened. You want to know the truth, Sarah? Fine. David was miserable with you. You're boring. You've always been boring. You work all the time. You never want to go out. You dress like a librarian. David is fun and adventurous. And you were suffocating him. So you saved him. I liberated him. We liberated each other. We were both trapped in lives that didn't fit us. And you decided to wait until I was pregnant to tell me. We wanted to wait until after the baby was born, so it wouldn't stress you during pregnancy. We were trying to protect you. I started laughing. Actually laughing while holding my 3-day-old daughter. Protect me? You planned to trigger postpartum depression to take my child away. Emma's eyes went wide. She hadn't realized I'd read that part. Sarah, that's not... You're taking things out of context. We just wanted what was best for everyone, including Hope. What's best for Hope is having me declared mentally incompetent. We never said that. I pulled out more screenshots. David to Emma. Found a psychiatrist who will work with us. Dr. Harrison has a reputation for aggressive treatment of postpartum psychosis. Emma, we need to document everything. Every time Sarah seems overwhelmed. Every time she cries. Record it. We need evidence. Emma's face went white. Sarah, we would never have actually... Emma to David. I researched involuntary commitment laws. We need 3 documented episodes of erratic behavior, witnessed by others. I can get mom and dad to back us up if we frame it right. That was just research. We weren't actually going to get out of Jessica's house. Now. Sarah, please. We can work this out. We're family. No, Emma. Family doesn't plan to destroy each other for 8 months. Family doesn't steal husbands and plan to steal babies. Family doesn't research having their pregnant sister committed to an asylum. Get out before I call the police. She left without another word, but not before I saw her pull out her phone to call David. He showed up at Jessica's house an hour later, pounding on the door. Jessica answered, while I stayed in the back bedroom with Hope. Where is she? I need to talk to my wife. She doesn't want to see you, David. This is insane. Whatever Emma told her, it's not what it looks like. I love Sarah. I love my daughter. Then, why have you been planning to divorce her since your wedding day? Silence. And why have you been planning to have her committed to a psychiatric facility? Longer silence. That's what I thought. You need to leave, or I'm calling the police. Tell Sarah she can't keep my daughter from me. I have rights. Talk to her lawyer about your rights. But David didn't leave. He sat in his car, outside Jessica's house for 3 hours, occasionally getting out to pound on the door, or peer through windows. Jessica called the police twice. The second time, they issued him a warning about harassment. The next morning, David received divorce papers at his office. Margaret had moved fast, including a temporary custody order based on the text message. Evidence. David could see Hope, but only supervised visits until the court hearing. He called me 47 times that day. I answered on the 48th call. Sarah, please. You have to listen to me. I made a mistake. I was confused. Emma, she manipulated me. She made me think I didn't love you, but I do. I love you and Hope more than anything. David, I have 8 months of text messages. You called our marriage a mistake on our wedding night. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. Sarah, please. Don't destroy our family over something stupid. I said when I was drunk. You weren't drunk when you planned to gaslight me into postpartum depression. You weren't drunk when you researched lawyers to take Hope away from me. You weren't drunk when you told Emma I wouldn't be pretty after having kids. Sarah, I know how this looks, but you have to understand. Emma has been manipulating both of us. She's been in love with me since high school, and she twisted everything. She made me doubt my feelings for you. So, it's Emma's fault that you've been having an affair for 8 months. Yes. No. I mean, she seduced me. She came onto me. I tried to resist, but she wouldn't give up. This was interesting. David was throwing Emma under the bus, now that he was caught. Tell me about prom, David. What? Emma says you asked her to prom first, and I was your backup choice. Silence again. David, were you going to tell me I was your second choice for prom? For marriage? For everything? Sarah, that's not... High school was a long time ago. What matters is that I chose you. I married you. After Emma turned you down. I love you, Sarah, not Emma. You. Funny way of showing it. Silence again. I want to see my daughter. Supervised visits. As ordered by the court, Margaret will set it up. I hung up and blocked his number. But David wasn't done. He showed up. At my work the next day. I was still on maternity leave, but I'd gone in to turn in some paperwork and introduce Hope to my colleagues. David was waiting in the parking lot. Sarah, please, just give me 5 minutes. I have nothing to say to you. Then just listen. Emma lied to you about prom. I never asked her first. She made that up to hurt you. Why would she lie about that? Because she's been jealous of you our entire lives. She's always wanted what you had. In high school, it was grades and college acceptance. In college, it was your job offers. Now it's your family. This was rich. David psychoanalyzing my sister. After spending 8 months planning to destroy my life with her. If Emma is so terrible, why did you have an affair with her? She said things. She made me feel like you didn't love me anymore. Like you were only with me because you were pregnant and trapped. She said you complained about me to her all the time. I never complained about you to Emma. I know that now. But she's convincing Sarah. She sounds just like you. Sometimes when she texted me, I forgot it wasn't you. Now he was claiming he was confused about which twin he was texting. This defense was getting more desperate by the minute. David, I've seen the photos. Of you two together, in our house, in our bed. You knew exactly who you were with. His face crumpled. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt you. But please don't punish Hope for my mistakes. I'm not punishing Hope. I'm protecting her from a father who planned to have her mother committed to a mental institution. We were never actually going to do that. You researched it. You found a doctor. You made plans to document my erratic behavior. How is that not actually planning to do it? It was just backup. In case the divorce got ugly, and you tried to keep Hope from me. So you plan to have me declared insane as backup? David looked around the parking lot like he was searching for escape routes. Sarah, I know how it sounds, but you have to understand. Emma has this way of making things seem reasonable when they're not. She made me paranoid that you would try to take Hope away from me out of spite. So you decided to take Hope away from me first? I wasn't thinking clearly. I was in love, or I thought I was. Emma has this effect on people. What effect is that? She makes you feel like you're the most important person in the world. Like she understands you better than anyone else. Like everyone else is holding you back from your true potential. Despite everything, I almost felt sorry for David in that moment, because I recognized what he was describing. Emma had done the same thing to me throughout our childhood. Made me feel special and understood, right up until she betrayed me for something she wanted more. David, did it ever occur to you that if Emma could manipulate you into betraying me, she might manipulate you into betraying her too? He looked confused. Have you talked to Emma since I found the text messages? She won't return my calls. Of course she wouldn't. Emma had gotten what she wanted. My marriage destroyed. She didn't need David anymore. She's probably already moved on to her next target. David's face went pale. What do you mean? Emma doesn't want you, David. She wanted to destroy me. You were just the weapon she used to do it. I walked away before he could respond, leaving him standing in the parking lot looking like he'd been hit by a truck. Emma tried a different approach. She showed up at Jessica's house with our parents, who had no idea what was really happening. Sarah, sweetheart, Mom said. Emma explained about the misunderstanding. She says you found some text messages that you misinterpreted. I handed Mom printouts of the worst messages. She read them while Dad looked over her shoulder. Their faces changed completely. Emma, Dad's voice was quiet and dangerous. Is this real? Emma started crying. Daddy, you don't understand. David and I tried so hard to fight our feelings, but we couldn't help it. Sarah's making it sound worse than it was. Mom looked up from the papers. You plan to make your sister mentally ill to steal her baby. That's not what we meant. Sarah's twisting everything. Emma, I said quietly. Show them your phone. What? Show them your text messages with David. All of them. Emma clutched her phone to her chest. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. Dad stood up and walked to the door. Emma, you're not welcome in this house anymore. You're not welcome in our home. You're not welcome around your sister or your niece ever again. Daddy, please. I'm your daughter too. No daughter of mine would do this to her sister. Mom was still reading through the messages, tears streaming down her face. Emma, I don't understand. How could you plan something so cruel? Sarah trusted you. She asked you to be Hope's godmother. Mom, Sarah's always had everything. The better grades, the better job, the better husband. For once, I wanted something good too. So you decided to destroy your sister's life to get it. I fell in love. People fall in love. People who fall in love don't plan to have their sisters committed to mental institutions. Dad said from the doorway. People who fall in love don't spend 8 months plotting to steal babies. You're all taking her side because she's always been the favorite. The room went dead silent. Mom set down the papers and looked at Emma with an expression I'd never seen before. Emma, your sister was never the favorite. We love you both equally. But we're proud of Sarah because she works hard and treats people with kindness. We're disappointed in you because you've chosen to be cruel and selfish. That's not true. Emma, I said. When did I ever get something you didn't get? We had the same opportunities, the same support, the same love. The only difference is what we chose to do with those things. You chose David. David chose me. And apparently, he chose you too. At the same time, without telling either of us. Emma looked around the room at 3 faces staring at her with disappointment and disgust. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. You'll all regret this. When David and I are happy together, and Sarah's alone with her baby, you'll realize you chose the wrong side. She slammed the door so hard that Hope woke up crying. Mom took Hope from me and rocked her while crying herself. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I had no idea Emma was capable of something like this. I didn't either, Mom. Dad sat back down heavily. What kind of parents raise a child who could do this to her own sister? Good parents, I said. Parents who taught us right from wrong. Emma chose wrong. But privately, I wondered if there had been signs we all missed. Emma had always been competitive with me, but I thought it was normal twin rivalry. Now I was remembering incidents from childhood that looked different in this new light. Like when we were 12, and I won the school science fair. Emma congratulated me publicly, but that night, she accidentally spilled paint all over my winning project, which was displayed in our bedroom. Or when we were 16, and I got accepted to my dream college. Emma seemed happy for me, but then, she told my boyfriend at the time that I was planning to break up with him when I left for school. We fought about it and broke up, just like she'd predicted. Or when I got engaged to David, Emma threw me a beautiful engagement party, but she also invited David's ex-girlfriend and seated her at our table. She claimed it was an oversight, but I'd always wondered, had Emma been sabotaging me our entire lives? Had I been so trusting that I'd missed decades of manipulation? The divorce took 4 months. David tried everything: couples counseling, claiming temporary insanity, even threatening suicide when I wouldn't take him back. But Margaret was ruthless. The text messages were ironclad evidence of fraud and emotional abuse. During the discovery process, we learned even more disturbing details. David and Emma had opened a joint bank account 2 months before Hope was born. They'd been saving money for their new life together, while I paid all our household expenses. They'd looked at apartments together, even put down a deposit on one. They'd also purchased life insurance policies on me, with David as the beneficiary. When Margaret discovered this, she immediately contacted the FBI. Life insurance fraud, combined with a plan to have me committed, raised the possibility that they'd been planning something even worse than divorce. The FBI investigation revealed that Emma had researched my daily routines, including my driving routes to work. She'd also researched car accident statistics and the effects of postpartum depression on judgment and reaction time. Sarah, Margaret said during one of our meetings, I think they were planning to kill you. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Think about it. They research having you committed, but they also research your life insurance and your driving habits. If the commitment plan failed, they might have tried to make your death look like a postpartum depression suicide or accident. I felt sick. You really think they would have killed me? I think Emma would have killed you. I think David was probably too cowardly to do it himself. But Emma is dangerous, Sarah. These text messages show a level of planning and manipulation that goes way beyond a simple affair. That night, I held Hope extra tight and tried not to think about how close I might have come to never seeing her grow up. The final divorce hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday in November. David's lawyer tried to argue that the text messages were taken out of context, that David had been manipulated by Emma, that he deserved joint custody because he was a changed man. Margaret destroyed him on the stand. She presented 8 months of evidence showing premeditation, fraud, and conspiracy. She showed the judge the life insurance policies, the joint bank account, the apartment lease, the research into my daily routines. Judge Martinez was not impressed. Mr. Thompson, in 30 years on the bench, I have never seen such a calculated betrayal of trust. You didn't just have an affair. You conspired to destroy your wife's mental health, steal her child, and potentially worse. I got the house, full custody of Hope, alimony for 5 years, half his 401k, his car, and most of our savings. David got supervised visitation every other weekend, and a massive child support payment that would last until Hope turned 18. No, David, you destroyed your own life, and you tried to destroy mine. Emma moved to California a week after the divorce was finalized. She sent one last text. I hope you're happy. You destroyed 2 people who loved each other. I blocked her number and changed mine. But Emma wasn't done with me yet. 6 months later, I was pushing Hope in her stroller through the park when I saw them. David and a blonde woman I didn't recognize, walking hand in hand. She was laughing at something he said. The same laugh I used to have when I believed his lies. He saw me at the same moment and started walking over. The blonde followed, looking confused. Sarah, you look great. How's Hope? She's fine. This is Jennifer. Jennifer, this is my ex-wife Sarah, and my daughter Hope. Jennifer smiled warmly. Oh, Hope is beautiful. David talks about her all the time. He's such a devoted father. I almost laughed. Devoted father, who sees his daughter 4 days a month, and tried to steal her from her mother. How long have you two been together? I asked. Jennifer looked at David adoringly. 3 months now. We met at his gym. He swept me right off my feet. 3 months. He'd moved on in 3 months while I was still rebuilding my entire life. That's nice. David, Hope has a doctor's appointment on your next visitation day. We'll need to reschedule. Of course, whatever works. Maybe Jennifer could come to one of my visits soon. She's great with kids. Let's see how things go. As they walked away, I heard Jennifer ask, she seems nice. Why did you two divorce? I didn't hear his answer, but I'm sure it was another lie. Poor Jennifer had no idea she was dating a man who'd spent 8 months planning to destroy his pregnant wife's mental health. That night, I looked at Hope sleeping in her crib and realized something had changed. The anger was gone. The betrayal still hurt, but the rage that had consumed me for months was finally fading. I pulled out my phone and deleted all the screenshots I'd saved of David and Emma's messages. I didn't need them anymore. The divorce was final. Hope was safe, and I was free. But freedom came with its own challenges. Being a single mother was harder than I'd imagined, especially with a baby who looked so much like her father. Every time I saw David's nose on Hope's face, I was reminded of the betrayal. I started therapy with Dr. Kate Morrison, a psychologist who specialized in trauma recovery. The first session was brutal. Sarah, you experienced multiple betrayals simultaneously. Your husband, your sister, potentially your parents-in-law, friends who knew and didn't tell you. Your entire support system collapsed at once. How do I trust anyone again? Slowly, carefully, and by learning to trust yourself first. That was the hardest part. Learning to trust my own judgment after being so completely deceived. If I couldn't tell that my husband and twin sister were planning to destroy me, how Could I trust myself to recognize red flags in anyone else? Dr. Morrison helped me understand that David and Emma's deception wasn't a failure on my part. Sociopaths are expert manipulators, Sarah. Emma, in particular, shows signs of antisocial personality disorder. She's literally wired differently than you are. You couldn't have detected her deception because you don't think like she does. But the signs were there. I just ignored them. What signs? Emma always competing with me. Always having to be the center of attention. Always finding ways to undermine my relationships. Those are signs of narcissism, which is different from sociopathy. A narcissist wants admiration. A sociopath wants control. Emma wanted to control you, and she used David to do it. This helped, but it didn't make the betrayal hurt less. It just helped me understand that I hadn't been stupid or naive. I'd been targeted by someone who saw my trust as a weakness to exploit. 8 months after the divorce, I started dating again. Mark was a pediatric nurse who made Hope giggle and brought me coffee without being asked. He knew my story. I told him everything on our third date, expecting him to run. Instead, he said, "I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm glad it led you here." Mark was patient with my trust issues. He understood why I needed to see his phone sometimes, why I got nervous when he was late calling, why I panicked if he was vague about his plans. He never made me feel crazy for needing reassurance. "Sarah, trust isn't built overnight," he told me, "but it is built. One honest conversation at a time, one kept promise at a time, one day at a time." We took things slowly, very slowly. Hope was almost 2 before Mark started staying overnight occasionally. She was 3 before he moved in. We didn't get engaged until she was 4, and we didn't marry until she was 5. But during those years, something beautiful happened. I learned that real love doesn't require deception or manipulation. Real love is patient and honest and safe. Real love doesn't plot against you or research your weaknesses or plan your destruction. Real love helps you heal from the people who hurt you. Emma sent a Christmas card the first year after the divorce. No return address, but the postmark was from Colorado. Inside she'd written, "I think about you and Hope every day. I'm sorry for everything." I threw it away without showing it to Hope. Some apologies come too late, and some people forfeit their right to forgiveness. The second year, Emma sent a longer letter. She'd been in therapy, she claimed. She understood now that she had mental health issues that made her do terrible things. She wanted to make amends. I threw that away too. The third year, she sent photos of herself with a man I didn't recognize. She looked different. Thinner, older, sadder. The note said she was engaged and wanted Hope to know her aunt. That one I kept, but I didn't respond. The fourth year, she sent wedding photos. She'd married the man from the previous year's pictures. She looked happy, but there was something hollow in her eyes that hadn't been there before. The fifth year, she sent a birth announcement. Emma and her husband had had a son. She'd named him David. I stared at that announcement for a long time, wondering if Emma had named her son after my ex-husband out of spite, or if she still carried a torch for the man who'd helped her destroy my life. Either way, it felt like a message. Emma wasn't sorry. She was still playing games. I threw the announcement away and never heard from her again. David remarried Jennifer 8 months after our divorce was final. I heard through mutual friends that she was pregnant. I wondered if he'd do to her what he'd done to me, or if having a child would finally teach him what love actually means. As it turned out, leopards don't change their spots. Jennifer showed up at my door 2 years later, holding a toddler and crying. She'd found text messages between David and her sister. "I'm sorry to bother you, Sarah, but I didn't know where else to go. I know what David did to you now. I should have listened. When people tried to warn me, I let her in and made her tea, while Hope played with Jennifer's daughter in the living room." Jennifer told me the same story I'd lived, but with different details. David had been having an affair with her sister for 6 months. They'd been planning to divorce Jennifer and frame her as an unfit mother due to postpartum depression. "He's using the same playbook," Jennifer said through her tears. "Your lawyer, Margaret Chen, took my case. She says David and your sister Emma might have done this before, to other women. This was news to me." "What do you mean?" Margaret found records of David being named in 3 other divorce cases over the past 10 years. Always affairs with the wife's sister or best friend. Always claims of the wife being mentally unstable. Always custody fights. I felt sick. "Are you saying David is a serial predator?" Margaret thinks so. She thinks he targets women with close female relationships he can exploit. She's trying to contact the other women to see if there's a pattern. We spent the afternoon comparing notes. David had used the same lies, the same manipulation tactics, the same lawyer, even the same psychiatrist, Dr. Harrison, in at least 2 other cases. "Sarah, I think Emma wasn't the mastermind. I think David was. I think he's been doing this for years, and Emma was just his latest accomplice." This reframed everything I thought I knew about my betrayal. What if David had deliberately targeted me because I had a twin sister? What if he'd spent months or years grooming Emma to help him destroy me? Margaret Chen confirmed Jennifer's suspicions when we met with her the next week. She'd found evidence of David's pattern going back to college. "David Thompson is what we call a family destructor," Margaret explained. "He deliberately targets women with close family relationships, then uses those relationships as weapons. He's probably a sociopath with a specific fetish for destroying families." "But why?" I asked. "Control, power, financial gain. Some of these men get off on the destruction itself. They enjoy watching women suffer. I thought about the look in David's eyes during our worst fights, the way he seemed almost excited when I cried. Had he been enjoying my pain? What about Emma? Emma was probably recruited by David, possibly years before your wedding. He may have been manipulating her since high school, grooming her to help him destroy you when the time was right. This meant Emma wasn't the mastermind I thought she was. She was another victim of David's manipulation, even as she participated in mine. It didn't excuse what she'd done, but it explained it. The FBI investigation that had been triggered by the life insurance policies eventually uncovered David's full pattern of abuse. He was arrested on federal charges of conspiracy, fraud, and racketeering. The investigation revealed that he'd destroyed at least 6 families over 15 years, always using the same methods. Emma was arrested as an accomplice. Her lawyer tried to argue that she'd been manipulated by David, but the text messages showed too much enthusiasm for the plan. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison for conspiracy and fraud. David got 12 years. Sometimes Hope asks about her Aunt Emma when she sees other kids with their aunts and uncles. I tell her that some people make choices that hurt others, and when that happens, we have to protect ourselves by staying away from them. She's too young to understand now, but someday I'll tell her the whole story. I'll tell her that love should never require you to destroy someone else. That real family builds each other up instead of tearing each other down. That trust is precious and should be protected. I'll tell her that the coldest betrayal I ever faced taught me the warmest lessons about real love. The betrayal broke me, but rebuilding myself made me unbreakable. And now, watching Hope take her first steps toward Mark, who would never hurt either of us, I know that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you can lead to the best thing that ever will. Mark and I have been married for 3 years now. We have a son together, Hope's little brother Michael. Hope adores her baby brother and takes her role as big sister seriously. I'll always protect him, Mummy, she tells me. Family protects family. Yes, they do. I think real family protects family. Some days I still wonder what would have happened if I'd never found those text messages. If I'd gone through labor with David holding my hand, never knowing he was counting down the days until he could destroy me. If I'd trusted Emma to be Hope's godmother, while she planned to become her stepmother. But mostly, I'm grateful I found out when I did, because the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than living a lie. And now I'm living a truth that's entirely my own, surrounded by people who love me, without conditions or hidden agendas. The coldest betrayal I ever faced was discovering that the 2 people I trusted most in the world had spent 8 months planning to destroy me. But the warmest gift that came from it was learning that I'm stronger than I ever imagined, and that the family you choose can be more loyal than the one you're born with. Hope will grow up knowing that love means protection, not manipulation. That trust is earned, not assumed. That sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones who claim to love us, and maybe that's worth more than all the lies I used to believe.